Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks and another random destruction. I've been playing a bit of Battlefield 1 today as well, getting some footage for this week's video, which I think I said was going to be Friday, but I think it might be Thursdays instead for that. Anyway, back to World of Tanks. So we're on port, it's a tier 8 match. I'm in the Chinese tier 8 heavy, the 110, which I really like. I actually prefer this, personally, to the IS-3. And have now got rid of my IS-3 after upgrading to the T10, but I'm not sure if I'll get rid of this. It's quite a bit of fun. But anyway, it's got an 100mm gun instead of 122 like the IS-3. It does have 10 less penetration at 215 and 70 less damage at 320, but it does have a much better rate of fire at 6 rounds a minute as opposed to 4.8. So that is quite good, and it's more accurate at 0.38, and the aiming time is not quite as bad at 2.9 seconds. It's manoeuvrable enough. It's got a 30-degree hull traverse, 26 degrees on the turret, which is not bad for a heavy, and a 40 kilometre an hour top speed. It's got 120mm on the front of the hull, which I think is, I can't remember if that's the same as the IS-3 or 10 more now, off the top of my head. 90 on the side, 60 on the rear. The turret isn't as tough though, 201 on the front, 148 on the sides, and only 50 on the rear, which is very poor. But it doesn't have that weak spot just above the gun, which is a bit of an advantage over the IS-3. And the pike nose is a lot more angled on the 110 as well, but you do have to watch that lower plate because that is a bit bigger than the IS-3's. It's not too bad if you're close up because it improves the angle, but then, well, they can possibly just shoot down into the top of the hull. But, like I say, it is very well angled, as you can see there. So I've come out onto the western side of port, put one into the Firefly, and he's bounced. The only thing this doesn't have as well is it doesn't have that spaced armour above the tracks like the IS-3 does, and it is a slightly taller vehicle as well. Now, that VK4502A had the stock turret, you could tell because it got a curve to it. The upgraded turret, the thicker one, is flat on the front and it's also square. So if you see that it's got a curve to it, you can normally just punch straight through the turret front. Now I've been tracked by RT. Put a shot down at that 3001p but missed. I'm going to move in, but I've got to be careful. There's a hammer here who is just penned, I think. Not quite enough to kill him, but artillery's taken a few pot shots, they might finish him off. And the 3001p's come back. There's a 4502A again, and he's penned. So now I've got to be careful. Now the 3001p has very kindly given me his side. Not that I would have struggled to get through the front of it as such, but it was nice for him to give me his flank. Now, most of the tanks here seem to be wrecked, so we'll move in. There's the enemy 110. And I don't think he's fully upgraded. He looks like he's got the stock turret on. In fact, he has, yes. So he's probably working with 122mm, although from the muzzle brake on the end I think that might be the 85 that I think it gets, 85 and 86, can't quite remember now off the top of my head. There he is. Oh no, I think that might be the first 122mm possibly, with the longer reload, but that's a moot point now because he's done for as well. Not one of my best games in the 110 this, but it's a nice game nonetheless. So there's a couple of T-34-85s. There's one sneaking around the corner. I'm going for the ram, and somebody puts a big hit into him, and then RT finishes him off. Oh, the IS-6 just took a bounce there from something. I think it was the other T-34-88. And there's not much left now apart from an AFK IS-3, and I know it's not AFK, technically it's AFP, but same difference. And now one artillery. So it's just a matter of farming a bit of damage and then cleaning up the RT. Although I do play it a bit safe on this IS-3, I just, for some reason, get the feeling he's all of a sudden going to start shooting back. So just decided to go around on his flank and put one into him, and just finish him off for the kill. And that's it, end of the match. So again, not my best match, not my worst one, just a nice, steady match. Not bad for a daily double though, over 5,000. I'm quite happy with that, and over 3,200 damage done, which again is quite nice. High caliber, second class mastery, and a sniper medal. Not much blocked, but then again a lot was penetrating, then I think they're going for the lower plate possibly. But again, like I say, just a nice steady match to ease us into the video. I did get some extra XP from a couple of those ops there, and a little bit of silver as well, but while it's just going through the results, back to Battlefield, I'm really enjoying the story, and I think I'll bring you that first through a series of videos. And like I say, it will be Thursday as opposed to Friday, because Friday is normally when new tanks come on the store, so obviously if a new tank comes on I won't be able to do both videos. So I'll bring you that on Thursdays, like I say, starting with the story, then I'll move on to basically doing what I do with this, and do a few multiplayer matches, that sort of thing, and see if you guys enjoy it. But anyway, back to World of Tanks. On Dragon's Ridge, it's a standard battle, tier 10 match, and I'm in the Motherland, which is a tier 8 Russian premium. And again, it's not a brilliant match, but I've just put it on to show you that sort of being bottom tier, as long as you're sort of careful and drive your tank semi-properly, like I'm about to do, then you can not only survive, but have a pretty decent match out of it as well. And yeah, just play it cautious, really. But I mean, the Motherland, it is a very well armoured little medium. It's gone a bit lacklustre on the penetration at 183. It's not the worst. There's tanks at tier 8. The T-54 lightweight springs to mind, which has got 175mm of penetration, and also up to tier 10. So it's definitely not the worst. But it's 183 on its standard ammunition with 250 damage. It's a 100mm gun. 7.5 rounds a minute, that's before equipment. 0.36 accuracy, so it's not the most accurate, but it's definitely not the least, and it's not bad for a Russian accuracy. And a 2.4 second aiming time, which is a bit lengthy. 44 kilometers an hour, 42 degrees traverse on the hull, and 40 on the turret. The engine does feel a little bit underpowered. It's a 520 horsepower engine. But the armour, it's 120mm on the front, and it's very well sloped. 90 on the sides, and 45 on the rear, and the turret's 180, 120. 75, and that's front, side and rear, so it is a very tough little tank. I'm going to put a shot into the Bulldog. I was quite lucky, I didn't aim that one quite fully. I'm going to see if I can get a shot into him as he disappears down here. No, I don't know, I was taking my time a little bit through the buildings there and didn't quite lead him enough there. And I think he's pretty much gone. And if I'm paying attention to the map, which it looks like I am, there's those guys coming over the ridge as well, so I really do need to turn around and pay more attention to what's going on up here. Especially with a T-62A. And another Motherland. So, neither of those two are particularly good news. Yeah, the T-62A is paying attention to me. That was a bit of a poorly aimed shot. But I've got the side of an E50. I'm going to reload in time. Yep, put one through the side of him. Could do with a bit of help though. I really don't want to be facing these three down on my own. Oh, now they've been joined by a T-32. Things just keep getting sunnier. Luckily he's missed, and I managed to track him. I've just taken a hit from something. Like it could have been the Motherland. No. Might not have been. That T-32 is just gunning for me now, so I'm going to back off because he's coming in for the ram to try and pin me, and because he's got good gun depression and he's taller than I am, he kind of flattens out the angle of my armour and he can penetrate it a bit easier. But luckily my teammates managed to annihilate him before he can do much damage to me, and that's when the other Motherland comes in, gets a shot into me, and he's trying to come around behind, and I don't have a very good repair skill on this crew. It's one thing I do need to work on, to be honest. but I didn't want to burn my repair kit. Not unless I was in a lot more danger of him coming right around the corner. I'm going to go for his side, and he turns and flattens it out a bit for me, so I managed to pen. And then he tracks me on this bloody bump in the ground. Then I burn it because, well, I've seen what's up there, and I really don't want to be sat there with my lower plate on show to an E100. But he hit me and did a lot of damage anyway. So I'm going to not ignore him. I know he's there, and I want to sort of keep an eye on him. But I'm going to concentrate on what I can damage for now. There he is. He's not really paying much attention to me, and he doesn't seem too happy to come fully out of there yet. There's a couple of guns facing back at him, and the E50 is really coming for me now. Luckily he bounces, and as he comes round I just managed to knock his tracks off out of pure luck. And then he takes a hit, and he's done for as well. And it was kind of nice to have a few guys on my team down in this corner that seem to know what they're doing and seem to be working well. I'll see if I can put one into the side of that E100's turret, which I do, which is nice. I have swapped to APCR. Something like an E100 you're going to have to. That's not going to go through. And this is where I make a mistake. Yeah. Should have paid a bit more attention to that bump in the ground. And should have zoomed out really of my sniper view before I started moving, because that really did me over and cost me my tank. But it was a win nonetheless, so that's not too bad. Well, I came out of that with 96,500 credits, which isn't too bad, it's nothing to sniff at. 4,800 XP. And, you know, I didn't do a lot. 1,915 of my own damage, 1,955 assisted damage, but it was enough to get me to the top of the board, so I'm happy with that as a tier 8 in a tier 10 match. And again, play it cautious, play to your tank's strengths and keep back a little bit and pick your targets, and you can do alright when you're bottom tier. Right, we've got one more coming up for you now, and I'm back. Team training again. Team training? Crew training. Yes, in the SU-76I, I'm still training up my KV2 crew. I want to get Brothers in Arms done on it. I've got 1 or 2 skills already, and I want to get Brothers in Arms finished, so I'm back in this, doing a bit of training. And I think I've got a ×6 crew XP on. I've still got a few of those left. Now, the SU-76I, I think I went through this the other day. It's got a 76mm gun, 110 average damage with 86mm penetration, 13.95 rounds a minute, quite poor accuracy at 0.44, and fairly slow aiming time at 2.1 seconds. 60mm of armour on the front, 50 on the rear, and 30 on the sides. Quite good traverse at 40 degrees though, it's not too bad, and it's not so much of a slouch really. It's got a 50km/h speed limit. Now we're on Province, and it's a standard battle, and it's a tier 3 match. And at the minute nobody's got eyes across there, but I'm just looking for where the tracer fire is coming from and basically aiming for those locations. And on a map as small as Province, you can do it quite effectively, because a lot of people, a couple will go down to the valley, start spotting, and they all start lighting them up from the other side. So you can watch that tracer fire and pretty much find your targets from that, as you can see me doing here. Yeah, where are they? Just over there somewhere. Nope, but there is one over this side. It might be a bit low there. There we go. No, he's either moved or that went just high, so let's shoot at what we can see. Now we can see something. Nope, there's a lot of tracer fire coming in my direction from over that way. I'm going to back off. I'm fairly safe that most of them won't be able to penetrate, but I really don't want to get Artie's attention. There's one just back there. Got him again. Oh, something's got me in the side. A bit slow to react there. He's dealt with though. Now, back to spotting tracers. And you can do this with artillery as well. You know how sometimes you start a match and there's various people, I'm not going to make any comments on the intellectual prowess, but various people just start blazing around shooting at all the teammates at the beginning of the match. Well, eagle-eyed Artie can watch for those tracer fire and the ricochets, and yeah, they can pinpoint you pretty well. I've done it myself a couple of times and it's very effective, so anybody that does play Artie out there, just keep an eye out for that trick. Straight over the base at the beginning of the match and see who's dealing with a little bit of premature fire. Now, Artie's over that way somewhere, but I don't think I can get him. I think he's just behind that ridge. Oh, no, there he is. I can get him. Now, it was a bit high there. He's arcing up from down there somewhere. I'll have a feeling that with the shells raining in at him, he's probably moved. Now, him I can see. And like I say, you're not invulnerable in one of these, but there is a lot of things that will bounce off you at this distance. Now we've got the Type 91 down there. If he's firing high explosive, he could be a problem, so I've got to be careful of him. And there's still a few tanks on that other ridge, so I don't want to get spotted and give anything a flank as I'm moving along. So I'll pull back, see if I can pick them off with the tracer fire again. There's one. And then, when it's safe, I'll move along when I'm not going to be spotted and when I'm not going to take any shots in the flank. And in fact, while I'm doing that, I am going to be back tomorrow with a review. It's going to be one of a couple of tanks. It's either going to be the Type 95, the Japanese Tier 4 heavy, which obviously I started off with the Tier 3, was it? No, Tier 2 and 3 of that line, and did those in one single video, did them together because of them being low tiers. So it's either going to be that, or I have had a couple of people ask about the British heavies, and I've been all the way up that line, and another one of my subs suggested going all the way through a sort of line, one after another, and obviously reviewing them and giving gameplay tips, which I sort of do in my reviews anyway. So I may start that off, because like I said, I've had a couple of people ask about the British heavies. They're not, I mean, there's some good tanks in that line, but they're certainly not the easiest to get to grips with at first, or I didn't think so at least. You know, they are a bit of a unique play style, and then they sort of change part way up the line, so you sort of just get used to it and then everything changes. And like I say, I've been down that line, so it's one that I could do. And also I've had somebody mention the Churchill gun carriage as well, because you don't see many of them, and it does take some people by surprise when they come across it. And that sort of branches off that line, so I could also cover that one as well at the same time. So it'll either be the Type 95 or it'll be the Churchill one. I'm not quite decided yet, but it'll be one of those anyway. Now I'm racking up quite a nice kill score at the minute, and I think this is about the time that I actually noticed what kills I was on at this point, and just thinking it is a shame you can't get a Radleys down at this level. And now all we've got left is BT7, and he's understandably nervous. He's just taken a couple of shots at me at the side, I think, and didn't really do anything. But he's also lucky, and I am being impatient at first. I didn't aim that fully, and then the ones that I do aim fully just keep missing until he just sort of sits there, and it was almost, I think, as though he'd just given up at that point and just thought, do you know what, just kill me. But not a bad little game, especially for crew training. I hope I did put a ×6 on that one. Very disappointed. Yes, I did. There we go. I did get a good chunk of XP out of that. And also got a high caliber top gun and an ace tanker. And 10 kills. I have equalled my wife's record. She got 10 kills in the B1 a few weeks, probably a couple of months back actually. It's in one of the random destructions. But yes, she's got 10 kills. The closest I got was 9 in the SU-76I, and I've now matched it with 10, so I was quite happy with that. So I'm just pushing for 11 in something now. Hopefully a higher tier so I can get a pulse, and whatever it is above a pulse, I can't remember. Oh, Ryzen Eye Heroes would be good, that'd be 14, but I think that's asking a bit too much at the minute. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. I hope it's entertained you, and maybe you've learned something from it. I don't know, probably what not to do, more likely. But anyway, as always, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.